Hi, my name is Penny. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm here with another very late video, and that is the mid-year freakout tag. I was originally planning to do this tag video at the beginning of July, and now somehow it's like 3 weeks later or more. Oops. But I still want to do it because tag videos are a really good excuse to talk about books, and so let's talk about books. So the first question is, what is the best book you've read this year? And if I'm completely honest, the best book I've read this year, I read in July. So technically, I feel like it shouldn't count because when I was going to do this video, I hadn't read that yet. But that would be The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. But if we're not counting that, then it is a bit difficult because I feel like I didn't have any major standouts in the first half of the year. There were definitely a few I liked. Into the Drowning Deep by Mara Grant is definitely one that is up there, and also The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. Both of those I really enjoyed a lot. I do think if I had to pick one, I would probably pick Invictus by Ryan Graudin, which is like a time travel novel about this crew of thieves that go back and steal historical artifacts from the past. It hasn't necessarily had the best reviews, but I really enjoyed it. I think it was just what I needed. So the next question is the best sequel you've read this year, and I had a look. My focus this year has been catching up on series, but I'm going to count any book in a series for this, and really the best one that I've read this year was a novella, and that is Opal, which I'm not even sure if you'd really count it as a sequel, but I'm going to count it as a sequel. It's basically a novella that goes between the Raven Cycle series and the next series that Maggie Stiefvater is writing, and it tells the story of Adam and Ronan and their dream girl. That's slightly spoilerish for the Raven Cycle, but if you haven't read the Raven Cycle, it won't mean anything. It was just such a beautiful novella, and I think I really need to read it again because it's so short. I can read it again. If you have read the Raven Cycle, then I would highly recommend reading this. If you haven't read the Raven Cycle, please read the Raven Cycle. Next question is, what's a new release you haven't read yet? And for this, I don't really worry about new releases that much. I have enough books to read without trying to keep up with new releases, unless there's something I'm really excited about. If I did have to pick something for this, though, I would probably go with To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo, which I just got out of the library. A lot of people have read this already, so I am excited to read it too, and I'm very close to doing so. Next question is most anticipated reads for the rest of the year, and these are really the two main books that I've been waiting for this year. The first one I think is out in September, and that is Vengeful, which is the sequel to the Vicious series by V.E. Schwab. I'm super excited for that one. And then I think in also about September, October is the 10th book from the Kate Daniels series called Magic Triumphs. That series is by Ilona Andrews, and it is one of my favorite series, and it is the final book in the series, so I'm very excited about it. So at the moment I'm rereading the books, kind of leading up to that release. I did the other day think, crap, they're only going to have the hardback out in the first release, and I don't really like hardbacks. I've got the whole series in paperbacks, so I thought, well, I'll put a hold on it at the library so I can read it pretty soon after it comes out. But I think I'm probably going to end up buying the ebook because both the ebook hold list and the physical book hold list are like 80 people long, so that's probably not going to lead to me getting it very quickly. So I'll have to pay for an ebook as well as a paperback when that comes out, but you know what? I love this series, so I want to support Ilona Andrews, so I will probably do that. So the next question is biggest disappointment, and for this I'd have to just go with a lot of the graphic novel series I read. I mean, at this point I shouldn't be disappointed. I know that my taste in graphic novels are undefined so far, but I have found some that I like more than others, so maybe I'm getting there. But I have read the Angel series from the Buffy the Vampire series, the latest ones, massive disappointment. I also read the Josie and the Pussycats graphic novel, comic bind-ups, also quite a disappointment. Paper Girls is quite a disappointment. And Saga's not that bad, but given the hype around it, also a bit of a disappointment. Next question is biggest surprise, and for this I would have to go with The Girl with All the Gifts. This one I pretty much went into blind. I vaguely remembered kind of the thing everyone was talking about when it was first released, which is that there's this girl and every morning she gets taken out of her cell, strapped into a wheelchair and taken by men who have guns trained on her into her classroom where there's a bunch of other kids in the same situation. It's a really cool setup, but because I went into it not really knowing anything, what actually happened kind of was very surprising, and I was also very surprised how much I liked this book. Next question is favorite new author, and I don't really have an answer for this. There have been some authors where I have just read their first book, or I've read the first book that I've read by them. I'm explaining that badly. There's authors who I've read one book of theirs and I have really loved it, like for example The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, but we're not counting that, so I guess that doesn't count. But there are some like that, but unless I've read like a bit more of them, I don't really feel I can count them as a favorite new author, because one book doesn't make a favorite author. If anything, I would say that with Invictus, Ryan Groudon has kind of gotten a bit closer to being one of my favorite authors. So far, I've really loved a lot of her stuff that I've read. So the Wolf by Wolf duology was amazing, and Invictus is, I really enjoyed it. I really need to read Walled City, and anything she comes out with I'm definitely going to read. So she's a newer favorite author, I guess. The next question is newest fictional crush. So I don't really get fictional crushes. I think I went through the books, and if I had to pick one, I would probably pick Cole St. Clair from the Wolves of Mercy Falls by Maggie Stiefvater. But I feel like that's just making it seem like I have terrible taste in guys, because he is a mess. So I don't really know. Fictional crushes, not my thing. The next question is newest favorite character. For this, I would either go with Opal from Opal, the novella I already talked about, or potentially Imogen from the Invictus book. So I guess those two books that I did say were my favorites so far this year had characters that I really loved. I just think they both felt a little bit magical and light and fun, and I just really like them. Next question is a book that made you cry. I cry really easily, so I don't really remember, because crying in a book just happens all the time. It's not really a memorable occurrence. But I did note down some that I definitely remember crying in for sure. I definitely cried in Opal. I also cried in Magic Strikes, in my reread of Magic Strikes, which is the third book in the Kate Daniels series, and The Girl with All the Gifts by Emma Cary. I cried at the end of that one, for sure. Then the next question is a book that made you happy. I feel like I should give it a more creative answer, but to be honest, Opal and Invictus both had parts of the story that made me feel really happy and hopeful. The next question is favorite book to movie adaptation, and to be honest, I haven't watched any book to movie adaptations this year, so I guess I don't have any favorites. The next question is the favorite video I've filmed, and I don't feel like I have a favorite. I have really enjoyed filming these videos this year and like seeing myself slowly improve, although sometimes go up and down. But in general, I've been having fun filming, but I don't think I have a favorite. Next question is the most beautiful book I've bought this year, and that would definitely have to be Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is the new edition that they've put out prior to the sequel, Vengeful, coming out, which I already talked about. I don't know which copy of Vengeful I'm going to get, because I think I prefer the copy that doesn't match this beautiful copy, but then they won't be matching. I don't know what I'm doing, but I love this book. It's so beautiful. And even like in here, beautiful. And also like under the dust jacket, beautiful. It's just a really lovely book. And it even has this like little ribbon to mark your page. It's just they've done a really good job of it, and I am quite happy to have it. Not to mention that Vicious is a really amazing story, and I'm going to reread it before Vengeful comes out, and I'm super excited about that. So then the last question is, what books do you have to read for the rest of the year? Now, at the beginning of the year, I filmed a video about 10 books I wanted to read this year, and I've read now one of them. No, two. I've read two of them because I read Elantris and Illuminae during the Tome Topple, and both of them are on that list. I think I forgot they were both on that list. So that's 2 of 10, so I've still got to read the other 8. I'll link that video somewhere. And then I think I also filmed a top 5 Wednesday video where I talked about 5 other books I wanted to read this year. I can't remember whether I actually filmed that or whether I just brainstormed it and then never got around to filming it, because it was in that like slack period of me not being very good at filming. But I think I filmed it. So if so, I'll link that also around there. Anyway, I've got lots of books that I want to read for the rest of the year, so hopefully I will get to it. I've been reading a lot of books this year, so I'm feeling pretty confident about getting through that. Okay, so that is all the questions. Now, I've watched a lot of these videos over the last month, and I really enjoy them, so if you film one, comment down below to let me know. Or if you haven't and there's any of these questions you'd like to answer, I would love to hear what your answers would be. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Just